You, the morning star, that when you arise, every darkness gives way. You, this morning star, when you come, nothing of darkness prevails. Therefore, Lord, come in this sweet morning hour, Lord. Speak your word to our hearts. We pray, O God, that by the power of your Spirit, the word of Scripture shall be opened to our hearts. Our understanding of our being shall change. Change in a positive direction. Our God and our Father, this morning, we submit ourselves unto you. And we ask, Lord, that you have your way. You have called us with a holy calling. May this holy calling remain our portion. As we hear you speak to us about eternal things, incline our hearts unto eternity. In the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Amen. Today, precisely for me, is when we begin our Covenant Renewal Week, our Covenant Renewal Program. Even though by the announcements and projection, it starts tomorrow, but I think today being the first day of the week, it's pertinent for us to begin to look at the texts again. And I've decided not to preach today, but to possibly take us into a classroom and allowed us have a foundation so that when we begin the week, preferably our prayer life and prayer pattern may change. And possibly also our understanding of certain things about our priesthood will be made better. Something I've come to understand in life is that when you understand your being, when you know who you are, it will be very difficult for anybody to make a fool of you. But when you don't know who you are, anybody can stand anywhere and tell you one thing, and in the doubts of your mind, you may be carried off your feet. But I pray this morning that as we begin this journey of waiting upon the Lord and understanding from scriptures what our royal priesthood is all about, your life will change positively. And your understanding will be better enhanced as you also know more about who you are and what you are expected to do. So I'll speak this morning on what I call understanding our priesthood. And that's what I want to teach us on this morning. Understanding our priesthood. In 1 Peter chapter 2, where we have read, it states, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people belonging to God, that you may declare the praises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. For us to understand what our priesthood is all about, we will do two things this morning. First, look at the people who were addressed in this text, and also look at the foundation for the Old Testament priesthood. Because if you don't know where you are coming from, like I always say, you will not know where you are going to. If you just wake up in the morning, you don't know where you are coming from, they ask, where are you coming from? Where you are going to may be difficult to tell anybody. And so it is always good for us to go back and reflect our understanding of where we are coming from. First, we must understand from our text that the specific people who were addressed, if you read 1 Peter chapter 1, from verse 1 and verse 2, I wish we have it on the screen, that Peter said he wrote to the elect of God who were scattered in Pontus, in Asia Minor, and all kinds of places, which means they were not even in their home. They were strangers, they were exiled. According to 1 Peter chapter 1, there were those who were in exile, scattered everywhere where they were found. We must understand this point, that the text was not written to those who lived in ivory tower. It was not those who lived in a 5-star house with swimming pool around them and all the luxuries of life around them. It was not written to people who lived in luxury and were driving limousine. They were ordinary people like you and I. There were those who were suffering persecution of all kinds, being afflicted from every angle, with pains all over their lives, with tears rolling down their eyes. Men who have asked God, why do we live? Why do we believe in Jesus? The problems we are having today is because we believe in Jesus and we refuse to bow. Maybe they were like those in offices who have refused to bow to pressure of corruption. And because of that, their lives have become a life of pains and penury because of who they are and the things they are standing for in life. Many people who have become sick because of the things they were doing for God. People troubled on every side, not even in their own homes, scattered, taken into exile, and live as aliens where they were taken into. Those are the people who were called and addressed. But in the midst of their being scattered, something happened. That God spoke to them through Peter and said to them, you are a holy nation. You are a chosen people. You are a different person. You are a royal priesthood. You have been called out of darkness to declare the glory and the power of God in the world where you have found yourself. And they may be asking themselves this question: if we are royal priests, how come the situations we are living today remain the same, that of pains and tears? How were we called out of darkness when we are living in pains and tears to declare the glory of God? Troubled on every side were these people. Challenges around them. There are people who have been fasting and praying, say, God, take us back to where we belong, that we may worship you in our own home. Yet the Lord said, even in the strange land, your situation may be the same, but who you are does not change. I'm understood that who you are does not change. Whether you are in your home, whether you are in a strange land, whether you are in a prison yard, whether you are in the cell with people around you carrying guns and every weapon, whether they even deny you promotion in the office, your situation may be what they look at, but you are being does not change. I'm understood. So that is the people who were addressed in the text. And the Lord said to them, you are a holy nation, a royal priesthood. And as we look at this issue, it leads us to the second point, the second part of our message this morning, where we'll spend some time to look at it. Said you are a royal priesthood. Now this reminds me of something that in the Old Testament, the office of a priest was different from the office of a king. Kings were royal, priests were not. Hello. I'm understood? Priests were priests. They were not made to rule. But kings and judges were meant to rule. In fact, my last check in Old Testament, the only person who was a priest and a judge that served almost like a Kwashi king was Samuel, who was a priest, who was a prophet, who was a priest himself. And after him came Jesus in that order. No other person. So for Jesus to speak through his prophets and his servants and say to the church, you are a royal priest. There's something the Lord was trying to say to them. Say you are a king. And at the same time, you are a priest. Now, if you go back to Old Testament, you will discover something. That when Saul, the king of Israel, decided to offer sacrifice, what did Samuel say to him? It is not of you to do what? Offer sacrifice. It is better to do what? Obey than do what? Than sacrifice. Because the office of a priest and the office of a king were separate. That was what made Uzziah to enter his house leprous till the day he died. Because he went to the temple to offer sacrifice, to burn incense. The priest said to him, it is not your duty as a king to do this. But here the Lord speaking to the church and saying, you are not just a priest, you are a priest with royalty. I wish we understand this issue better. This makes your priesthood a better priesthood compared to where? The Old Testament priesthood. If you understand me, shout hallelujah. So, in the first instance, we have a better priesthood. In the second instance, is that priesthood in the Old Testament, as we read from Exodus 40, you read Exodus 38, you read Exodus 36, you will discover that the work of priesthood was only to one family. Which family? The family of Aaron. From which tribe? The tribe of Levites. Which means even though the tribe of Levite was taken to serve as priesthood, not everybody in that tribe was qualified to be a priest. It is only the descendants of Aaron. And the Lord said, I have given it to you as a perpetual office. It was an office in perpetuity, which he had to serve every time. If there is any priest that must serve, the priest must come from where? The family of Aaron. It's not the family of Aaron, you are not a priest. That reminds me of something. That when Israelites returned from exile and they started writing their order of their birth, if they write a name of birth and they say this one was a father of this one was a father of this, reason being that they must understand where you come from. Because if you don't come from this line and there is no trait that is so convincing, you cannot serve in priesthood. If you like be the most spiritual person, you cannot be a priest. So priesthood was by blood descent. Hello? Priesthood was by what? Blood descent. If I am a priest My son will be a priest. My grandson will be a priest. My great-grandson will be a priest. But if I'm not a priest, none of my children will become a priest. But understand what Jesus said through the prophets, through the scriptures. You are a royal priesthood. Who were the ones addressed? Jesus changed the order and said, sorry, the new order is that it will still be by descent of blood. Jesus went and died. Look at how your priesthood came. Jesus went and did what? He died. And when he died, he collected the priesthood for himself and for everyone that is born through him. Hello? You don't understand me? That everyone that is born through Jesus automatically becomes a priest. He paid the price for priesthood and purchased it so that as you are born into the kingdom, you don't need any other blood. You don't need any other point of descent. By the mere fact that you are linked to that blood that was shed on the cross of Calvary, automatically you have become a priest. Hello. Now, which one is higher priesthood now? I'm not saying the one people went to seminary. And by the time they went to seminary, they came back and they wear white castle and say we are priests. No. That's not what we're dealing with now. I have respect for them. But that's not what we're dealing with now. It's the one that Jesus went himself to the cross, died and was buried, and was raised to life. And in his coming to life, he carried the seed of priesthood in him. That everyone that was born of him automatically becomes what? Becomes a priest. So he could look at the church, though the church was facing persecution. He said, I'm sorry, you are troubled on every side. Sorry, you have problems everywhere. Sorry, you cannot pay your school fees. Sorry, you cannot feed. But let me tell you one thing. There is a seed in you. That is a seed of priesthood. Hello. There is what? There is a seed inside of you. There is a seed of what? Priesthood. So as you are being given birth to into the kingdom of God, you are automatically a priest. And this calls to mind that the long process of priesthood was overtaken by events. I don't know whether you've ever gone for a meeting and as you are raising a matter, say we have not done 1, 2, 3. Somebody said, sorry, it has been what? Overtaken by events. In the Old Testament, where we read in Exodus 40, precisely verse 12, it was required that as the priest enters, before the consecration, they must wash their feet, they must bathe them. And Jesus knew this very well. I think I've said this to us before. Before he went to the cross, he called the disciples, wash their feet. See? Because there is something I'm going to do ahead of you. I'll go and open the curtain and die on the cross. That as my blood drops to the ground, the curtain gets open. You don't need any other cleansing. You have access. So it's a priesthood where access is not denied. Hello. It's a priesthood that what? Access is not denied. I'm reminded in scriptures of Old Testament that the priests in the Old Testament, they have one called the high priest who will only enter the Holy of Holiest once. When? in a year. As you are staying like this, nobody will enter. We can all come and worship here and do what? And we wait for this high priest that once in a year he will enter, and peradventure he dies there. The matter is finished. But now the Bible says you have access through his blood. I wish you understand me. That you have what? Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give him the glory, great things he has done. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the earth hear his voice. Praise the Lord, let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give him the glory, praise he has done. The access is open. That you don't need any priest to stand between you and God. I'm not saying you don't need somebody to pray for you. Hello. But the best access you have is the access between that you have yourself to where? The presence of God. No, we keep on running from one prayer house to the other because we are looking for access to God. It is men who do not understand their being. Because if you understand who you are, you will go to God and say, God, here I come, not because of myself, but based on the blood that was shed on the cross for me. And so the curtain is open. God, I can stand before you. I don't need to wait once in a year. I don't need to wait for anybody. In fact, when we come to the point of accessing God, I don't need anybody beside me. I don't want to bother who is here or who is not there. It is between me and who? And God. Now, there's something, somebody came and told me something and said, God said I should say this to you. I said, thank you very much. I'm not God's grandchild. I am not God's cousin or niece. I am God's what? I am God's child. I have access to him. Thank you for the message. God bless you, but I have access to who? To the Father. Central, never busy, always on the line. You can hear from heaven, always, anytime. This phone is not busy. Hello. The phone is not what? It's not busy. They cannot say, sorry, the number you're calling is busy. No. And they will not say to you, the number you're calling is out of coverage. No. They will not say the number you're calling has been switched off. No. The line is open. Stop confusing yourself. Stop becoming a slave in the hands of men and women who want to pray over your life. But understand that you have access to the Father. So when the Lord said to the church in Asia Minor, you are a royal priesthood. Your priesthood is beyond that of priesthood. Now, do you know one thing? As a prince, you go to your father anytime, isn't it? Now, if your father is sleeping and you want to go to your father who is sleeping, you can go to his room and say, Daddy, I want to talk to you. And anybody who wants to hold you will begin to scream. Say, no, you cannot hold me. And if your father hears your voice, what will he do? He wake up by force. understand the dynamics of life. And the same dynamics are applicable to God. So the Bible says to the people, you are not just a priest. You are a royal priest whose access is undenied. Next one about our priesthood is that in the Old Testament priesthood, the priesthood was meant for only the male descendants of Aaron. If you're a woman in the house, raise your hand. You are a female in the house, raise your hand. A girl or a woman in the house, raise your hand. By Old Testament priesthood, you cannot access God. You have to stay in the courts of the women. And whatever you want, if you have a husband, you must pass to him. If you have a father, you must pass to a father. If you don't have a father, you pass to your uncle. But Jesus came. Said to Peter, go and say to the church, whether you are a male, whether you are a female, you are a holy priest. Hello. Do you understand me? Whether you are a male, whether you are a female, you are a holy priest. That's why it says that there is no male, there is no female. Because we have all been purchased by the same blood. Hallelujah. When Jesus went to the cross and purchased the priesthood and owned it, he knew that he would give birth to sons and daughters. Hello? He knew. So stop this issue saying, you are a woman, don't go here. No, don't worry, this men for men. Which men? Christ died for you and also died for the man at the same time and brought access to the men and brought access to the women, that women become priests. In fact, the only reference to priesthood in the Old Testament in respect of women I have seen is that a priest's daughter must not be this, but she cannot be a priest. But here you stand today before the Lord. Levites could be women who could sing, but they were not allowed to be priests. So when the Bible says you are a royal priesthood, look back and see yourself and say, if it was the Old Testament, I'm sure I could not have been here. But because the matter has changed, I am now a new person. The laws which were meant for women, in fact, as we are here, you are a woman, you are menstruating, you are not supposed to come to the tabernacle of God's people. You are supposed to be where? Outside. But oh, come to the Father through Jesus, the Son, and give him the glory, great things he has. Understand your priesthood, because if you understand your priesthood, you will value it. What you don't know, what you don't understand, you cannot value. But if you understand your being, nobody will throw you anywhere. Nobody will toss you anywhere and say, don't you know this is happening? Say, hold on. I have the right to the shrine, as you have the right to the shrine. Hello? Do you understand me? This priesthood, if there is a shrine, you have the right to go to the shrine. Me also, I have the right to do what? Enter the shrine. So, what you have in your shrine, take it for yourself. Me also, I'll go to the shrine and take what I want for myself. Don't allow anybody to deceive you. Say, you see, this one is meant for, no, it's not meant for anybody. Whatever in the scriptures is meant for Tom, is meant for Harry. Whatever that is in the scriptures It's meant for Paul. It's meant for Elizabeth. It's meant for everybody. It's not to say this one. No, you see, when it comes to office, this one is so for this one, for men. This one is no. The access is for both. So the priesthood that Jesus talks about, that we are a royal priesthood, is a superior priesthood. As we understand this priesthood, we'll understand that this priesthood does not have complexities. Look at what happened in the Old Testament. When a priest is to be consecrated, they must kill an animal, sprinkle the blood over this. They must bring water, cleanse the person, bring the oil, bring tunics, and begin to design how you must wear it. Whether there is sun, whether there is rain, before you enter. Now I begin to imagine what happens in a point of emergency. Have you ever considered that? That there is something wrong somewhere and you want to access God immediately. You have to run first, even if you are the priest, and go and begin to dress up. After my ordination, I sold one castle. And it was double-breasted. You have to button here, button here, button here. I like designers. Button here, button here, button here, button here. One day, Reverend Wilson came to the house. I was trying to button castle. Button this side here. Button this side here. Button this side. And I say, Dad. If there is an emergency, will you begin to button these shirts? How long will it take you to button these shirts? Now, imagine what happened in an emergency. In the priesthood of Old Testament, before you finish dressing up, the person is dead and ready for burial. But raise your hand and say, thank you, Jesus. I don't need anything to come before you. That's why the song says, just as I am, without one plea. But thou, thy blood, was shed for me. That's why even in your room when you are naked, you can say to God, this is how I am. I'm standing before you. We must understand these points more and more in our lives. Because if you understand our priesthood, some of the things around our heads will do what? Will give way. That this priesthood is a different priesthood. And you understand it. You'll be walking on the road and say, Lord, I thank you for making me a priest. Hello. Now, finally, this priesthood is not about yourself. It's about us collectively. In fact, one of the days, I was forced to read the text in Greek Bible. When the Bible says that you are a royal priesthood, I discovered in English language the word you can be singular. Isn't it? Sorry, I told you I didn't pass English language. I think I've said this before and again and again. That you can be singular. Isn't it? And you can be plural, but you may not even understand when the you is singular or when the you is plural. But in Greek language, when the you is singular, you know it is singular because of the way it ends. When the you is plural, you know that the you is plural. In this text, the you is not singular. The you is plural. What does it mean? That the Bible is saying it's not about you as an individual. It's about the church as a corporate body. Maybe we'll end it here today. And some other time we're going to speak about the church. Not as I, but as what? As we. We're going to look at the church. Not about myself, but about all of us together. And that's where our priesthood have his own strength. While the priesthood of the Old Testament rested on the high priest and a priest serving on an individual basis, our priesthood is a priesthood of all believers. Have you ever heard of that expression? There's a priesthood of what? All of us put together. And sometimes I ask a question. If one priest in Old Testament will do so much exploits, how much more when we all come together as priests? Because that's where our priesthood lies. How much more when we all come together in prayers and say, God, this is our intention as a church. How much more when we all stay together and say, God, this is what we desire as a people. Because our priesthood, it's not about me. It's not about you as a singular person. It's about what? All of us. When you begin to see your brother, this one is an enemy. And you go to church, this one does not talk to this. This one does not talk to this. I ask a question. Where do you understand your priesthood from? And you are claiming, I am a royal priesthood. Ha! From where? Where? He said, that one, no, please, I don't talk to her. And your what? Where? You don't understand me. In your house. Ha. Say that one. No. We don't belong to the same class. That one. That one. No. You remember what he did some years back? Do you remember? How can I forgive her? No. Priesthood in the church belongs to where? All of us. So when we begin to talk about royal priesthood, look at your hearts. Look at your life. Because from tomorrow we begin to pray. So that I don't want us to pray amiss. I don't want us to pray a prayer that will only be the noise of the microphone. I don't want us to pray a prayer that people there will hear, Newtown Church, look at the way they are praying. But heaven will look at you and say, this one does not belong to the priesthood. Can we rise in our feet as we pray? The first prayer we'll pray this morning is, God, thank you for this new priesthood. Just bow your head before the Lord. Tell God, God, thank you for making me part of this new priesthood. Lord, just thank you. You understand the Lord? Just tell him, Lord, thank you for making me part of this priesthood. I not choose it myself, but God, you gave birth to me into this royal priesthood. God, thank you. If you know you belong to this priesthood, tell God, God, thank you. But you don't belong to this priesthood, tell God, God, I want to be part of this priesthood. Oh. Tell him, Lord, just thank you. Thank you, Lord. But if it was the Old Testament priesthood, I would have been no way along the line. One, I wouldn't have come from the tribe of Aaron, the lineage of Aaron in the tribe of the Levites. I wouldn't have come from that tribe or the lineage of Aaron. Lord, thank you. Lord, just thank you. Just thank you, Lord. If it was a matter of birth, maybe I couldn't have come. But thank you for the new birth in Jesus. And you know you're here this morning. The issue of new birth in Christ makes no meaning to you. deal with the Lord now. Let the Lord deal with you on that matter as you settle that matter with the Lord. That you will not come to the presence of God and go back like that. Thank you, Jesus. Just tell him, Lord, thank you. I just want to say, Esheo Baba.
I just want to sing.
We'll sing that song very solemnly.
Baba,
Baba, oh, Eshe.
Eshe.
Just tell him, Lord, thank you.
I just want to sing. Baba, oh, Eshe. I just want to say, Baba, oh, Baba, I just want to say, Baba,
Tell the Lord not just thank you for making you a part of this priesthood, but tell him thank you for giving me access. That I have access to the Father. And in this access, I come just as I am. I don't need any seed in my hand to bring for God to hear me. I don't need any sacrifice in my hands to bring. That's why the songwriter says, nothing in my hands I bring, simply to thy cross I cling. Tell him, Lord, thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Tell him thank you. Just tell him thank you. For all that the Lord is unto you, tell him thank you. He has made you a priest. Not after the order of Aaron, but after the order of Jesus Christ. He has made you a priest unto himself, to be a holy nation unto him. Tell the Lord thank you. Tell him thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. As you tell him thank you this morning, tell him, Lord, I was meant to be a priest for a purpose. Let that purpose of my priesthood come alive in me. Tell God, Lord, the purpose of making me a priest, let that purpose come alive in my life. Just tell him, Lord, let this purpose, let me not go back like that. There was a purpose. There was a purpose. If there was no purpose, Christ could not have died and bought your priesthood for you at the expense of his blood. Thou art coming to reckon, large petitions will be bring, for his path and grace as such, none can ever ask too much. I don't know what you are coming with before the Lord this morning. As a priest, you are carrying the burden before the Lord. And the Lord says there is nothing on the way to hinder you. Why not tell him this morning? Just tell him this morning. Just tell him this morning. Tell him, Lord, this is the burden I'm bringing as a priest this morning. This is the pain I have I'm coming with this morning. These are the tears I'm coming with this morning. These are the heartaches I have to bring to you this morning. Thank you, Jesus. Can you raise your hands before the Lord this morning? Our God and our King this morning, we come collectively before you as your priests. In the sanctuary of your priests, O God, whom you have called into a holy priesthood, to be made royal before your presence. As your children raise their hands in submission to you, whatever is the concern of their hearts, as they have presented before you, you, our chief high priest, take over these burdens. Because they have access to you, take over the burdens, Lord. Take over the burdens, Lord. In the name of Jesus. Thank you, Heavenly Father. For God, as they return with lightness of hearts. They return with thanksgiving on their lips. They return with joy in their lives. Because they have come to the King. Lord, may your kingdom be established in the lives of those ones. In the name of Jesus. Thank you, our glorious God. Thank you, our King of all kings. To you we submit to this morning. In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.